Alright, so you're thinking of moving to Boston and you want to know where to live. Well, in this video I'll be discussing 5 of the top neighborhoods in Boston and what it's like to live in each. Stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Junas. I'm a realtor right here in the Boston metro area, and I love helping people find their ideal place to live. So if you are thinking about moving to the Boston metro area, please reach out. Call, text, email, shout it from the rooftops. I will be here and ready to help whenever you are. And please hit the subscribe button and then click that little bell to get notified anytime I do a new video. And I will be doing at least one new video per week about Boston and the surrounding areas. Good, the bad, the ugly, some really cool stuff. So it's hard to imagine that one of Boston's most exclusive neighborhoods used to be a swamp. But before 1820, Back Bay was basically that. Then by the 1850s, the city saw extreme overcrowding of the poor, a large portion of which were immigrants from Ireland, and the city was in dire need of more space. Now, of course, this was very concerning to the well-to-do Protestant families, so they resolved to create their own neighborhood. And as a result, 450 acres of swampy marshland was filled in with sand and gravel, and the Back Bay neighborhood was born. So by the late 1800s, Back Bay emerged as Boston's most elite neighborhood and stayed that way. Right, with its physical isolation from the rest of the city thanks to the public garden and the Charles River, Back Bay thrived as an exclusive neighborhood for the rich. In 1894, it was estimated that about 45% of Boston's upper-class families lived in Back Bay. And today you'll find everyone from students and young professionals to wealthy families and empty nesters who have moved in from towns like Wellesley and Weston. And you'll find children at the Clarendon Street Playground or the Commonwealth Ave Mall. They'll be at the Public Garden and the Esplanade. Now, Back Bay is one of the epicenters of Boston tourism, right? With loads of visitors rolling through the neighborhood's busiest streets like Newbury and Boylston. But what's really nice is you can walk a few streets over to a street like this, Marlborough, and find peaceful tree-lined streets where the crowds feel miles away. Now, Newbury Street still manages to hold center court as the city's most coveted shopping destination, but you also have the Prudential Center and Copley Place nearby. Living in the Back Bay is not cheap, right? The median price of a home is just over $1.2 million, but its location for a lot is ideal with quick access to almost any part of the city, whether it's crossing the bridge to Cambridge or heading to dinner in the South End, or even catching the Green and Orange lines, which are just steps away. See right over my shoulder. The ability to walk almost anywhere in the city is the real draw for most residents, particularly if they work downtown. And with access to cultural institutions like the Boston Public Library and Symphony Hall, as well as the Public Garden and Commonwealth Mall, it's easy to see why this area has maintained its desirability all the way from the Victorian era to the present day. Oh, and you don't want to forget about the Back Bay's 2 most popular residences, Romeo and Juliet. They're the famed swan duo that takes up residence by the lagoon at the Boston Public Garden every year. So one of Boston's oldest neighborhoods also happens to be one of its most expensive. Here, the median price of a single-family home is more than $2.2 million. Welcome to Beacon Hill. Now, it's the home of great wealth, political influence, and old New England roots. And the hill is as stately as they come, right? There's an air of dignity, and everywhere you look, bricks, cobblestones, and some of the finest examples of Federal and Greek Revival architecture anywhere in the city. That is, if you know what you're looking for. Now, Beacon Hill is definitely a popular Sunday hangout for people all across Boston, but it's also a familiar sight for folks around the country. That's thanks in part to this street, Acorn Street, which is one of the most photographed streets in the United States. Its image can be found on postcards, paintings, magnets, Instagrams, and probably TikTok too. Now, Beacon Hill is one of the only neighborhoods in Boston where you can walk to every major T line within minutes. And even without the T, the professionals have the luxury of walking to work in the financial district or to one of the nearby hospitals such as MGH or Mass Eye and Ear. Plus, there are 3 Starbucks and 4 Dunkin' Donuts on the hill to keep Bostonians running. Of course, Beacon Hill is known for Charles Street, which has a ton of antique shops lining up and down all along the road. Now, Beacon Hill played an important role in the development of Boston. In fact, Beacon Hill was originally dubbed Tri-Mount for the three hills that define the area. Then in the years after the construction of the State House in 1795, those hills were leveled off to fill in parts of the Charles River, right? At the same time, some of the city's earliest real estate developers wanted to establish a prestigious residential neighborhood atop these newly flattened hills. And so they ended up funding construction of the neighborhood's first mansions. The hill is always great for a leisurely stroll, but walks on the hill can also serve as a history lesson, right? The neighborhood is the site of the African American Meeting House, which was built in 1806 and was once a gathering place for the city's free black community. Now it's the oldest black church still standing in the country and home to the African American History Museum, which hosts guided walking tours along Beacon Hill's Black Heritage Trail. Now, Beacon Hill has also been home to some literary greats like Sylvia Plath, Henry David Thoreau, Robert Frost, Louisa May Alcott, and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Oh, and the next time you're passing through, keep your eyes peeled for the neighborhood's famed purple windows. The windows were never meant to be purple. The color is actually because of a chemistry-fueled accident. So when the glass for the windows was imported from Europe back in the mid-1800s, it was crystal clear. But after the windows were installed, their exposure to sunlight resulted in a purple tint, and the phenomenon was later found out to be due to excess manganese oxide in the glass. But the purple windows eventually became a status symbol.
Now known for its restaurants, large Victorian row houses, and arts and crafts scene, South End has been on the National Register of Historic Places since 1973. According to the Boston Landmarks Commission, South End is known for two styles of row houses, right? The double basement window, bow-fronted row house with a mansard roof, or a low basement flat-fronted row house faced with brick and often adorned with a projecting oriel window.
So the South End was first developed in the 1850s atop basically a swamp, and the neighborhood has gone through a unique evolution. Right? It's transitioned from luxurious row houses for the privileged families to tenements and rooming houses, and now we're back again to where it's housing for the privileged. So back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the South End experienced a tumultuous period of urban renewal, which translated to displacement and a lot of racial tension. It later became a thriving gay scene and an artist community. But in the last few decades, the South End has rapidly gentrified, once again becoming the city's most stylish and desirable neighborhood. In a way, the South End also serves as an example of Boston's current status as a city of contrasts, right? Walk up Termont Street and you'll spot moms pushing $700 strollers while carrying their non-fat lattes from the Buttery. But if you go just a couple streets over to Albany, you can see firsthand the effects of the opioid epidemic crisis right outside of Boston Medical Center. Still, the residents love that the neighborhood is walkable and ideal for small kids, thanks to the many playgrounds and parks. Now, the South End is often declared as Boston's best food neighborhood. You have acclaimed restaurants like Copa, SRV, Toro, B&G Oysters, and Myers and Chang's that are all constantly packed. But there are plenty of classics that have held on through the years, like Charlie's Sandwich Shop, which served black jazz musicians back when hotels were segregated. And then there are other places like Anchovies, Deluxe Cafe, and Foley's, as well as the landmark gay bars like the Eagle and the Club Cafe. And if you love a good night listening to jazz, then Wally's Cafe is a must. The North End embodies community living at its finest and offers a unique blend of rich colonial history and European charm. And it's conveniently located only a short walk from Faneuil Hall Marketplace and Boston's financial district. Now, residents of the North End enjoy some of Boston's best restaurants and retail shops, including some of the best Italian eateries in all of New England. And the neighborhood offers the ultimate in urban lifestyle, with colorful markets and convenience services located around every corner. And many of Boston's most famous cultural attractions, such as the TD Garden and Freedom Trail sites, are just outside one's doorstep. Now, the North End is a neighborhood with European roots, where there are parades and festivals and feasts, and of course lots of pastries, right? At the same time, the North End has been adopted by a younger generation, the kind that favors green smoothies over gelato. And while Italian charm can still be found all over the place, the North End has changed significantly in recent decades. The North End is still an area for the city's Italian community, but its proximity to downtown and the waterfront has priced out many of the European immigrants who established the neighborhood in the first place. As one of Boston's most highly coveted residential areas, it often feels like the only people buying in the North End these days are wealthy retirees, finance guys, and Bruins players. And it's understandable, right, with the median price of a condo hovering just below $1 million. Still, some things never change, like all the old timers sitting in plastic lawn chairs on the sidewalks, when it's not snowing, of course. Now, aside from the countless Italian restaurants, the neighborhood is filled with historical homes and buildings like the Old North Church and the famed Skinny House. And its residents take fierce pride in the neighborhood, right? Folks who grew up or run businesses in the area love to celebrate the community, particularly during feast season. The downsides? Locals say the rodent problem has gotten worse. It's virtually impossible to snag a parking spot, and you'll always be weaving in and out of hordes of tourists. However, it's those same tourists that keep the money flowing into the North End thanks to delicious plates of Italian goodness being served up on every street, and the long lines over at Mike's Pastries, or its rival across the street, Modern Pastry. So established in 1600 as one of Boston's oldest neighborhoods, Charlestown is steeped in Revolutionary War history, and there are landmarks and plaques all over the place, as well as, of course, the Freedom Trail. Now, Charlestown is home to two significant historical sites, the USS Constitution and the Bunker Hill Monument. Both are definitely must-see stops on the Freedom Trail. And we also have the Warren Tavern, which is the oldest tavern in Massachusetts. In fact, it's one of the oldest in all of America, and is rumored to be the favorite watering hole of Paul Revere and George Washington. Today, Charlestown is not exactly the gritty neighborhood portrayed in the movie The Town. In fact, it's one of the most sought-after neighborhoods in the city of Boston, offering up a blend of luxury waterfront homes and historic antique townhouses on gaslit streets. So overall, Charlestown is a mix of single families and condominiums with a couple of full-service buildings down by the Navy Yard. And some offer jaw-dropping views of both the skyline and the harbor. Now, Charlestown has a classic main street and town square, and its residents enjoy a true sense of community, right? One of the great things about Charlestown is that you're in the heart of Metropolis, but you feel like you are in a small, little, tight-knit community, and one that's only 1 square mile. And you're only minutes away from all that Boston has to offer, right? Charlestown is a quick walk over the bridge to the North End, and within driving distance of Back Bay Shopping District and the Fenway's cultural institutions. Now, Charlestown is comparable to Back Bay and Beacon Hill in terms of its charm, yet house and condo prices are a lot less. The median price for a home in Charlestown tops out at just $750,000. There are trade-offs, however, right? Because there's a lot less to do in Charlestown. Its shops and restaurants, while great, are clustered along Main Street and City Square. And the only supermarket is a Whole Foods, which can be a little aggressive on the wallet, right? But even if it doesn't have all the conveniences of other neighborhoods, Charlestown is still a lively and close-knit community. So if living in a centuries-old home not far from downtown sounds up your alley, then Charlestown might be right for you. Alright guys, so like I said, my name is Andrew Junas. I'm a local realtor right here in the Boston metro area, and I really love helping people find their ideal place to live. So if you are thinking about moving here, please drop me a line, call, text, email, shout it from the rooftops. I will be here and ready to help whenever you are. And please remember to hit the subscribe button and then click that little bell to get notified anytime I do a new video. And I will be doing at least 1 new video a week, all about Boston, the surrounding areas, the good, the bad, the ugly, some really cool stuff. Alright guys, I hope this was helpful. Please comment down below and reach out with any questions if I can help. And until next time, take care.